Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the man from Wakanda himself,
Phil Perich.
Yes. Wakanda forever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been waiting for this. Me and Lil talked about this last week, but you saw Black Panther. What did you think?
Oh, it was very good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have to break with everyone else and say it was a good film. No, it was really a fantastic film. Couple of things, because there are things to find fault with. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I will say. This was an amazing film. It was just incredible. Just the emotional arcs of every character, and really of pretty much every character, had a really amazing emotional arc. Killmonger, Eric, I have to say, good old Michael B. Jordan, Human Torch No More. He had the best story and arc in the film. I really feel that
he's like the best. He's like the best villain maybe in the MCU right now, because I mean, good acting and everything, but I mean his backstory. He actually has a reason for his actions. Like actual.
Oh yeah, the Killmonger story is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It is just phenomenal, straight up. And the way they presented it, and the way here's what I'll say. As a film, this film was perfect. As a Marvel Universe, larger universe film, that's where I found disappointment in this.
Yeah, but
in the sense that
they had the world build Wakanda and everything.
Yeah. No. I mean, like I said, it is such a petty fanboy argument.
Yeah.
But like, I wanted a little more fan service. I wanted some bronze toads. I wanted some kind of reference to an Infinity Stone. I wanted, because we're coming back in Infinity War, I wanted something on that level. But you know what? That in and of itself is not the end of the world. I mean, that is like, it's a petty fanboy complaint.
I think they're saving,
and that's the only complaint I have.
They're saving that for Infinity War, because doesn't look like a good chunk of that's in Wakanda. So maybe that's when they pull out the all the exotic weaponry and stuff. And
yeah, I don't think we're getting bronze toads though. I don't, or the bronze frogs. I don't think.
They threw anything.
I think, yeah, it's interesting. No, but I loved. It's like I am so hard pressed to find a character I did not love, even to the point where I got mad that our villains die in this. I got mad that Claw died. I was so mad that Claw died.
Well, I was talking to Lil about this last week. I'm like, do you think Claw's really dead and gone, or is he going to come back as like that solid sound, red form?
I was hoping they were going to do something like that, but they didn't. They clearly did not go that route. Claw's dead, because it's like this. Had he died before then, maybe. But at this point, no. That was the last of Andy Serkis in this universe, at least in that role.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine someone bringing him back. Although, I guess there's always the possibility.
It's a comic book movie.
Well, not only that, but what it comes down to is this idea of, okay, so, and I guess that's maybe the point. Maybe in Infinity War, that's where Claw comes back. Maybe that's where Killmonger comes back. Maybe these characters do get resurrected as a method of attack against, the heroes.
Do you really think they'd bring Killmonger back though? Because I mean, I mean, I guess they could, but I think it was
No, I mean,
the whole story about the challenger.
like I said, it's one of these things where
it's all the challenge to the throne, and then just it's like, oh, look at this tragic thing that didn't have to happen.
Yeah, and that's the truth of it, is that it didn't have to happen. It's all oh, I'm blinking on his name here.
Who, the father?
The guy with the lazy eye. No, the guy with the lazy eye. Forrest Whitaker.
Yes.
It's all Forrest Whitaker's fault. Basically, Forrest Whitaker. It is all Forrest Whitaker's fault. He's like the one guy who died who you're like, good. All your fault, Forrest Whitaker.
At Charlie Esser.
Yes.
But no, I saw an interesting thing after I saw the movie. I guess the actor who played young T'Chaka, in the flashbacks, that was actually that was the actual real life son of the actor who played older T'Chaka in Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, yeah.
They got his son to play his younger self. Yeah.
And I thought it was so interesting that they were switching between the old T'Chaka and the young T'Chaka. Although I do gotta say, that Black Panther heart-shaped herb, that apparently has got an expiration date, or older Black Panther really liked creme brulee. I'm not quite sure which it was, but it was clearly some, Although I think they intentionally sent him into the gym for this, because I think he bulked up muscular. I think the guy playing T'Chaka was noticeably in better shape for an older fat man than he was in Civil War. That's just my assessment. Well, I think they did that.
Well, I mean, Civil War, he was in the real world. Older T'Chaka and Black Panther was like on the spirit plane. So aren't you gonna?
Yeah.
You probably look however you want. So aren't you gonna bulk yourself up if you're in the?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Except he still stayed an old man. So
Well,
I was expecting him to be the young T'Chaka in all those scenes.
That would have made sense. Yeah.
That would have made sense, but they didn't do that. But it was actually really, really fantastic. I really loved the characters. And one thing that kind of
No, I was gonna say, and that you're talking about Andy Serkis. That there's action, that like car chase, the action in South Korea, that was beautiful.
And actually, speaking of Andy Serkis, what I loved about Andy Serkis, which is why I thought, because here's the thing, I had heard all of because I didn't get any spoilers before I saw this, but of course I saw the headlines, and I didn't read the articles. But I'm thinking, because I thought they were going to have Claw turn to sound, or have him die in such a way that you'd be like, does he come back as a pure sound being later? That kind of thing. Because we're like, what does the fate of Claw mean for the MCU and stuff like that, and when I'm watching it, they so telegraphed the idea that he's going to be this guy who becomes sound, because they kept on throughout everything in it. They have him referencing, his favorite tunes and his mixtape and all this kind of sound related stuff that you're like, oh, he is totally going to turn into a being of solid sound at the end of this. Nope, not so much. They really set, and this I think is one of the things that really was why this was such a great film, because they set it up for you to think as a nerd that you knew exactly where they were going, and then they turn on you, then they shift it. As another example, the second I see, oh, we have the device to render the vibranium inert. And they're going to do that Doom War storyline where, to keep the vibranium from falling into the wrong hands, he's going to destroy the vibranium. No, they don't do that either. And then when we get to what actually finally happens with Killmonger, and it is so beautiful, like painfully, darkly, wonderfully beautiful. When T'Challa takes him to see the sunset because the sunsets in Wakanda are the most beautiful in the universe, and the most beautiful in the world. And he sees it, and then T'Challa basically says, you don't have to die right now. We can, we just patched, Ross's spine back together. We can heal you. This is nothing. This is a flesh wound. And his reaction to that, which was, yeah, you'll heal me, and I'll go to jail for the rest of my life here. Because he knows, and what's so honest about that is that as much as he was wronged, as much as T'Challa knows he was wronged, T'Challa also can't just let him go. He staged a coup.
He was about to start World War III.
Yeah, really. This can't be written up to my I had a rough childhood. This goes way beyond rough childhood, and he knows that he could live, but he would live forever in captivity.
Yeah.
And that there's no easy answer except to, as he says, bury me at sea like my ancestors who knew it is better to die than to live in bondage. And, for those who jumped ship, and that is, it is painful and dark and beautiful. And it really, really makes the film. It really makes the film on so many different levels. The one big issue in this film is where they're going to get more heart-shaped herb.
I was thinking, if not by Infinity War, sometime soon, him and that sister are going to figure out how to do a straight inoculation or something where they don't have to drink it or whatever. And that's the
okay, yeah. Let's just walk away from thousands of years of tradition and ritual. Yeah,
I think that's kind of one of the themes of this movie is he's in the whole rest of the movie, he's trying to live up to his father and grandfathers and the whole line's traditions. And I think that was the point when what's the name of the character? His ex-girlfriend, sits him down and she's like, you have to decide. Don't let your father's decisions define you. You have to figure out how to be a king for you and your people now.
And for what it's worth, I love the fact that his father tells him that, you are a good man. And unfortunately, that does not make you, a good man cannot be a good king.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially what happened with Killmonger's father was essentially the fact that he had to deal with the fact that he could not be allowed to be the villain. He could not allow this. He could not allow the plan to go forward. He could not allow this World War III scenario to be allowed, expressly because that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad that we would have this World War III scenario. It's bad that we should go forward and let the world be destroyed in this way. We need to not do that, is basically their argument. And, that's why Killmonger's father had to die, but again, had to go back and had to serve his punishment. He could not be allowed to be free anymore.
Mm.
And that's sad and tragic, but you have to make that hard decision. You have to kill your own brother, because even if they were ready to let the world know about Wakanda, they were not ready to go to war with the world.
No, they didn't want to, except for Killmonger.
Well, yeah. Well, Killmonger, sometimes I think Killmonger just wanted the world to burn. I don't even think it was about Wakanda taking over. He just wanted the world to burn. He wanted all the world to feel the pain he felt.
He wanted to subjugate the world and be like, look at me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't even know if it was even about subjugation so much as it was about destruction.
Mm-hmm.
about war and violence
Revenge.
and bringing the world. Yeah, exactly. It was purely revenge. And for a character who's got such dark motivation, to give him that redemption at the end of it, to give him that redemption throughout it, I mean, that just speaks to how well written this film is. And for what it's worth, there is not a second in this film that drags. There is not a moment in this film that you think any. And I don't know how long this film was.
2 hours, 15
I'm willing to
minutes.
wager. Is that longer or shorter than any of the DC debacles we've had lately?
I mean, Justice League was 2 hours, and Black Panther was 2 hours 15, and it seemed much shorter than Justice League.
Yeah, because they actually put story in.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of just filling it. And yeah, well, not even just, not even. It's like I don't even blame the punch it up. I think that there's just points throughout Justice League, throughout. Well, actually, I haven't seen Justice League yet, but I was thinking Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Where it's elongated for no reason. And it's like, what I'll say about those films felt like they were keeping in the comic book tradition where late in writing the book, the artist realized, oh man, we got to finish this book, and has to cram the last 6 bits of story into like the last 4 pages.
I mean,
I
mean, it's not necessarily bad, but the DC stuff so far doesn't seem like it's set in the real world. I mean, even with all the fantastical stuff in the MCU, it seems like it's set in the real world.
Well, yeah, and I think it is. I think very much what makes the MCU really great is that for all of its extraordinariness, it approaches the world with an understanding of how the world is likely to work.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, as an example, just the fact that Tony Stark has to deal with boards of directors, just the fact that there are government agencies that are, trying to rein in and control superheroes.
Peter Parker in high school.
And but what's interesting is that those things are in the DC universe too. I mean, in the Dark Knight series, we've got the board of directors of Wayne Enterprises. Although somehow it always just seems to be resolved a little too easily. Everything seems to get resolved too easily in the DC universe when it comes to real world problems.
Yeah, that's like Captain America's Civil War. That problem hasn't been resolved. I mean, Tony and Steve are still at each other's throats, kind of.
They're still very much at each other's throats. Oh, and speaking of which, love the end credit scene.
Bucky.
That's Shuri in that scene, right?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like my standout character from that movie, Shuri. I want to see more of her.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to see lots more of her. She's in Infinity War.
Is she? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, she is in Infinity War. I believe so. I believe she's been confirmed. Because everyone's talking like, what's she going to do when she meets Stark and Banner? Yeah. And, and the actress actually said, I'm sure Shuri will be very respectful. These are great minds. And there's actually this interesting point I think people should make. It's that, we don't know what Tony Stark would do if he was sitting on top of a mountain of vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, not for nothing. That vibranium thing, that's pretty big. It's interesting when you ask, like, where all the vibranium comes from. Although the main amount of vibranium is in Wakanda, there probably is vibranium throughout the world because when a meteor hits, it does explode. And so you're going to have vibranium debris scattered all about. So you're going to get vibranium here and there.
And don't they have, is it man-made? Is it like that Antarctic vibranium or whatever it is? Or is that?
Well, I don't know if they have that in the MCU.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've established that in the MCU. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't have the Savage Land yet in the MCU. So, although speaking of Shuri, so one of the things I wanted to say about Shuri is, thought it was very cool that we got, I think that there's some kind of I'm shipping Bucky, Shucky right now. I want to ship that.
That's what I said during the review. Yeah.
Sure. I wasn't sure how Bucky.
I wasn't sure how old she was supposed to be played, but I was like, yeah, I mean, if she's of age, yeah, I would totally ship that. Yeah.
Well, she's totally, I mean, I think she's probably like 18, 19, 20.
Mm-hmm. And he's
I think,
and he's like
yeah.
86.
Well, yeah, but he's, he was frozen for a while.
Yes.
It's like Steve Rogers. You can't really go straight by the wages. Can you see who's texting me? And it's just yes. But so I love that. I like the fact that Bucky now has a new code name, not Winter Soldier anymore. What's his new code name?
Was it White Wolf?
White Wolf, yeah, I like that. So Bucky is White Wolf. That is. I want White Wolf to be his new name in the comic too, for no particular reason.
But did you catch that?
I never liked the name Winter Soldier.
I mean, well, the Russians gave him that, yeah, and he needs like a
exactly
his own, yeah. But did you catch that line in the middle of the movie when they brought what's his face in to fix his back, and she's like, oh, another. I was like, oh, Bucky, they're talking about Bucky.
Yes, and that was the one time where they gave us that they did follow through with it.
Mm-hmm. Unlike
Unlike all the implications that Claw was going to be turned to solid sound at the end, or have something like that happen to him. That one they did follow through on, and that was cool. I loved that. But one of the things about Shuri, because this actually ties to The Runaways, which I also just recently watched. I really felt Shuri is too young in this film. I don't know how old the actress is, but she definitely is playing like a college student.
Mm-hmm.
Like maturity wise, like she seems like she's young. Mm-hmm. And I always see of Shuri as almost like a contemporary to T'Challa, like maybe younger than him.
What? Maybe they're doing like the Peter Parker factor, where they went with they made her younger, so that way eventually if Chadwick Boseman wants to walk away, they can make her the Black Panther.
Yeah, and that's I think everyone is cool with that. Mm-hmm. Although, oh man, how annoyed must Shuri be in the film that when they have the last heart-shaped herb and the Queen tells Nakia to take it?
Yes.
And I'm sure like Shuri's like, I'm here.
I'm royal blood,
Yeah. And then they're going to and then they're going to go give it to Manape of the Jabari tribe. And the Jabari, oh, man. Again, this idea where they take a classic villain and just make them amazing.
I know. I'm like, I can't believe they did Manape and they did him good.
They did him fantastic.
Instead of like the white fuzzy suit, they just body paint.
And I love that line. Well, you can't do the white fuzz. I mean, yeah, that's gonna look ridiculous. And but I love the entire gorilla tribe. That is so amazing. And what I loved about it is I loved how he's not a big dumb guy. And I love and he's witty and he's funny, which again just shows you that Marvel knows how to do the humor. They know how to balance humor in all this because intelligent people crack wise, and superhumans are usually pretty smart people.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when he says, "Silence, I will feed you to my children." I'm kidding, we're vegetarians. That is just like so perfect. And of course, the gorilla tribe would probably be very strict vegetarians because the gorillas are vegetarians and they are the strongest of all. Now, how you're growing all those vegetables up in those mountains, I'm not sure, but we'll say vibranium.
Vibranium fertilizer or whatever. Yeah,
vibranium. It's like those Vitarades. They can do anything,
But no. In the interest of time, you mentioned Runaways, so you watched the whole season then.
I watched the whole season, and one of the things I was going to say is that whereas Shuri seems too young, I really feel like they made Molly too old.
Okay.
But that may also just be that nobody knows how old people are supposed to be in comics. And I don't know if Molly is supposed to be like 13 or 8 in the comics. Like if she's supposed to be 13, then it actually works. It actually is appropriate, and they just draw her way too young in the comics. Because they draw her like a Franklin Richards kind of character.
Well, yeah.
Where she's like almost, maybe 11, 12, that she's supposed to be like maybe, tweens, teens, but they draw her much younger than she probably should be. The Molly they have in the series is very good. And the series is really good too. It is a really interesting series. They make no mentions to anything else in the MCU, which I found interesting. Because I don't think it's Fox produced. I don't think Runaway. I think it is a Marvel Studios television production. I think it follows the same lines as the Netflix.
Do you think maybe they just weren't sure of like when it was going to be released, so they're like, yeah, don't mention anything about just
yeah, but you can always mention New York, or you could always mention that and the other. Yeah. But it is amazing. It is fantastic. I have no idea where it's going because I never read the books, and it may be completely different from the books. I believe that the main villain, is actually the guy who played Doctor Doom in the first Fantastic Four movie. I'm pretty sure it's the same actor.
The Corman one, or
no, not the one that was released. Although Corman was actually the producer on those two.
Oh, well, you mean Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom?
Yeah, I believe that's him. I think so. It looks like him. And I didn't IMDb it before I got on here, so that was cool. That was cool. Just like, it's Doctor Doom.
Hey,
why is Doctor Doom in this film?
No, not from the same like Fantastic Four franchise, but two Fantastic Four actors who've shown, hey, we're good actors. Who just yeah.
And now we're both really killing it in the Marvel Universe proper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because that's the thing is I always felt that Marvel Studios could cast good, but when it wasn't Marvel making the properties, they had to deal with studio interference, and the bad kind of studio interference, like the kind you get over at Warner Brothers. And yeah, it was. I mean, Runaways was really good. Like I said, I don't know what happens in the books, but quick rundown for you. Basically, and I think one of the main differences is that in this situation. I think in the original books, the parents are supposed to be straight up super villains.
Yeah.
In this one, they're doing evil, but they're not really super villains. They're kind of being manipulated by someone else and doing evil for the greater good. At least they think so, because they're being manipulated by the Doctor Doom character, whose name is Jonah, who I think might supposed to be, from what I've heard, supposed to be the master of the world from the Alpha Flight comics.
Ooh.
The guy who was like put together by the spaceship and then lives forever.
Like a caveman, and he got re-put together by an alien spaceship. Yeah, kind of like their Vampire Savage. Yeah.
Yeah, and that I think is basically what he's supposed to be. That I've heard that, and that definitely matches up everything we've seen in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see. And I don't know if that character was in the original Runaway stories. I don't know what happened in that. No,
I read it once, but I don't think so.
Most annoying thing about it, though, this is what really stuck in my craw.
Mm-hmm. Bless you.
Thank you. In the Doctor Strange film comic book prequel, so for the Doctor Strange film, they did a comic book prequel in which Tina Minero is featured with the staff.
Mm.
Okay? Which is in keeping with how Tina Minero, I believe, is presented in the comic books. She may be an evil sorceress, but she is a sorceress.
Mm.
They changed that here, and it makes me wonder if Runaways is even in the MCU. Or if maybe the comic books aren't actually supposed to be canon to the MCU.
Maybe.
And it's an interesting question, and it's kind of bugging me. Because I don't like that. I like my MCU connected. And I like when there is an official book associated with the MCU, it should be canon. That may not be the case, and that's bothersome. Okay. Final thoughts, Phil. You want to talk about renumbering? Going to number ones, you want to talk about that on Capes and Lunatics?
I mean, we could talk about it real quick, tease it, and I mean, we can even talk about it with Lilith if we want. Yeah, you know, we're not even 6 months into Marvel Legacy, and now I don't know if they're renumbering everything or most stuff because I know if nothing else, they said they're coming out with an Avengers #1, Captain America, Thor, original Thor, and Iron Man, putting a new team together.
Yeah, well, but I do think that from what I've read, like some books like Captain America, Thor, Iron Man are going to continue legacy numbering. Books that no one cares about legacy numbering, they're not going to do legacy numbering. Well, like She-Hulk won't be at legacy numbering, although they're saying She-Hulk will be a part of the new reboot, which is nice too.
Well, like someone was saying in my comic book store, I wonder if they'll do like they did like back in the early 2000s, where they'll have like 2 numbers on each cover, you know, like legacy numbering and like a new number.
Who knows? Anyway, it's all good. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the return of Super Sons to the DC universe in their upcoming crossover. Did you see that?
Yeah, and did you see their books getting canceled? And I'll tell you.
Yeah, I saw that. But did you see what they're coming back in?
Yeah. That team up thing with was it Dynamite
and Blue Falcon?
Yes,
presented as the gritty reboot crossover Warner character or Hanna-Barbera characters, which I am so excited about. Not that I can afford comic books anymore, but I'm still very excited about it. So we can talk about that because I do want to throw that out and maybe go talk a little bit about kids comics and adult comics and that crossover, since Archie's went through that whole thing with taking kids comics, making them for adults. But we'll talk about that in about 7 minutes on Capes and Lunatics.
But yeah, and I'll tell you what my theory about the conspiracy I think about why Super Sons is getting canceled, along with like 1 or 2 other books.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait to hear that. You have to tune in to Capes and Lunatics, kids, to get that information.
That's right.
So, Phil, if they'd like to reach out to you, talk to you about these things, give you their vast and convoluted conspiracies about why comics suck now or why they're better than ever, how can they do so?
You can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp, or you can get a hold of the Capes and Lunatics for any of our stuff, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, @CapesLunatics, and the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, go subscribe to our second podcast now, Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, where you can find Wade's World, Newcastle Crew, Charlie Esser, all Charlie Esser's Netflix reviews with Moz, and our new Who podcast, The Watchmen, with me and Tyler. So
sweet.
Too much content.
Never too much content.
Never.
Okay. And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way where Moz and Paz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters at live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other shows when they come in on my rickety old digital antenna at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle of the long B. Thank you for connecting with us, ladies and gentlemen. Please, super connect with us again. Good night. Time for pierogies.
Wakanda forever.
Pierogies forever.
I cannot wait. Get this man a shield. I can't wait for that.
Mm-hmm.